Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Kelly's Heroes.
Kelly's Heroes.
Clint Eastwood. Stealing gold.
Stealing some Nazi gold.
With a Nazi?
Yeah.
We'll get
into that.
Kelly! What the hell are you doing here?
Looking after the colonel, that's what.
Shoot him and let's get the hell out of here.
Shoot him, we don't get the gold.
What gold?
Proposition. Thought you might be interested in helping me out. Oh. I want you to set up a barrage for me.
Yeah.
Well, it's Thursday, folks, so this is we just watched Classic. This is brought to you by one of our patrons, specifically Dr. DNA. I believe this is their first movie pick.
Ooh.
Yeah, I believe Dr. DNA we all know from Hypecast shoutouts. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this is the first pick. They came right out of the gate with a 2.5 hour comedy from the 1970s.
From 1970.
Where Don Rickles gets shot with a tank.
And like part of a roof falls on his head.
Yeah, holy shit. Okay, so this has Clint Eastwood in it.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Dean Stanton is haunting this film.
Yeah, in a small role. It's like 25-year-old Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah. Again, Don Rickles. Bunch of like 70s like honkies. And Donald Sutherland.
Telly Savalas and Carol O'Connor.
Okay. And Donald Sutherland as Robert Evans.
Yeah.
We should probably get that out of the way now.
Yes.
He looks just like Robert Evans in this. He's dressed like him.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't talk like him, I guess, but like his whole vibe
it's
is
it's a very Evans vibe.
Yeah, it's like
when we first meet this character, he sits straight up in a loft style bed that looks exactly like his bed at Cracked House.
Yeah, you're right. Also, when we first see him, the movie finally begins.
Yeah, that's about 30 minutes in.
Yeah. How did you like this movie, Tom?
I liked this movie. I think it's too long.
Me too. And I think
that's kind of like, I mean, movies from this era are paced a lot differently.
Yeah.
Which has something to do with it. But also, this movie has about 25 minutes of setup that we don't really need.
Yeah, it's not only is this movie too long, but the way to fix it is very clear.
Mm-hmm. You just cut out the first 25 minutes.
Yep. They're also like the worst part of the movie. They're boring. I hated this movie in the first 25 minutes. I was like, oh no, I hate this movie. This is going to be exhausting.
Yeah.
And like literally the moment fucking Donald Sutherland blasts into the movie, it gets 300% better.
Or yeah, because really all it is, they just need to skip right to them beginning the heist. Like the first, all that happens in the first 20-ish minutes is Clint Eastwood plays a Private Kelly who captures this German officer. Yeah. They get him drunk and he lets it slip that there's a convoy full of gold bars that's going to this small French town, like 30 miles beyond enemy lines. So they decide to put together a small team to go get the gold, and it keeps snowballing, like the team keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
Which is part of the gag of the movie. But like that first bit, like capturing the German officer and learning about the gold and deciding to go steal the gold, we didn't need that to take 30 minutes.
No. They give him a save the Nazi moment.
Yeah.
To show that he's a good guy.
Yeah.
But they immediately kill that guy.
Well, he gets killed. He gets killed by other Nazis. You see?
Oh, right. Yep. It's it got like there's not much for jokes in that first 25 minutes.
No, like I was really confused. I was like, is this a comedy?
That was one of my first notes. I was like, I don't think this is a comedy. It's like, it's weird because it's like it's trying to trick you into thinking it's a serious film.
Mm-hmm.
It's
not
just
if you look at the poster, man. Are you looking at
I saw the poster.
The poster
that's
is out of control.
That's what I was about to say. Is like movies advertise, so like no one going into the movie would not know that it's a comedy. It just the whole it's all he needs to find out about is the bank holding the gold. That's it. That's all they need to know, and it takes 25 minutes to set it up.
It takes damn near a half hour to set it up.
For people unaware, this is basically the movie Three Kings before the movie Three Kings existed. It's people in World War II who are they're kind of disillusioned, group of people who are just kind of, they're soldiers. And they learn about a lot of gold, and they decide to go behind enemy lines like 30 miles behind.
Yeah, to
a small town that's not really being protected and steal this gold.
It's also really far they're going AWOL.
Yeah.
But there's a whole gag where the general that's in command of their division is played by Carol O'Connor doing Brian Doyle Murray. Like he just is Brian Doyle Murray, and like even his voice sounds exactly like Brian Doyle Murray's in this. But when he learns about it, like he thinks that they're just these like go-getter soldiers that are just like pushing the offensive, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go down there and ride with them."
Yeah.
So there's this additional element of a ticking clock because the general's coming, but it's done in a goofball. Like everything from when Donald Sutherland appears on is pretty silly.
Yeah, it changes. The movie changes.
There's a couple of serious moments, but it's pretty much just silliness from that point on.
Yeah, I will say the action is hardcore.
Fucking yes!
I loved the action. This is a solid war movie.
It's just a war movie that has jokes in it.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's not like slapsticky jokes. It's just like funny characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the movie gets going the moment... It's really technically the moment Don Rickles shows up. He is like the first person that he goes to, or the second, I think.
I think it's the second, because the first person they have to go to, it's pretty well done. It starts out with just this small unit, Clint Eastwood, his sergeant's Telly Savalas, so it's them and like a couple of guys in their unit are going to go do this. But they have to go get this other commander who is in charge of artillery to get him to stop shelling where they're going to go so that they don't get bombed.
Right.
And then so that brings him in on it. And then they have to go talk to Don Rickles because Don Rickles is the requisitions officer. So they have to bring him into it to get all the gear they need. And then Donald Sutherland.
His name is Crap
His name is
Shoot?
Crap Game. Crap Game.
Crap Game.
Crap Game.
Yeah, so he's clearly dirty already. And then Donald Sutherland.
And then Donald Sutherland just happens to be asleep in there.
Yeah.
And sits up, and then so they have to involve him now.
Yeah, and he's like, again, a Robert Evans type. He's a real free spirit.
He is a guy that did not exist in 1944.
Yeah, which
this character's a time traveler. There's no way this guy was in the army in 1944.
Oddly enough, Donald Sutherland is the main comic relief of this film. I mean, it's a comedy. Everybody's funny, but he's like the most goofball.
Yeah, he's the broadest character. Yeah.
Yeah, which is wild. Up until this point, like the comedy felt really like why-I-oughta comedy. Wise guy. And then she shows up and the game changes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh, this guy is a beautiful maniac. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he has this like tank division where they like dress up the tanks weird. They make them look like they're more powerful than they are.
Mm-hmm.
They fire paint to make as he says, to make beautiful art that like freaks out the enemy. They blast music, and they're just weird. Is their technique, their fighting technique. But they're also like clearly just like, doing drugs and partying.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really work unless they're forced to. He keeps talking about like bad vibes and shit like that. And so things just go really spinning out of control the moment they get Donald Sutherland on board.
Yeah.
So they go off, and also Kelly, played by Clint Eastwood, also the least interesting character in the whole thing, right?
Oh yeah, he's just being Clint, like he's the straight man. And
it was again why the first 30 minutes I thought we were in trouble, because I was like,
yeah,
Clint?
They must have known that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's just playing Clint Eastwood, like he's in a Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah.
And everybody around him is being silly.
Yeah, exactly. And so they go out on their outing. He's not telling anybody that there's also 3 German tanks in this town that they're going to have to deal with. He's a real scumbag, Clint.
Yeah. I can't argue with that.
spoilers, they get the money and drive off, and all I could think about is like the horrible empires they're all going to start. Because they're all like, we like them. They're in a movie. They're movie characters, but like they're all kind of I don't know. One guy says he's gonna get a ranch with 30 women, and that's what tipped me off. I was like, oh no, wait,
yeah,
maybe these guys shouldn't have this gold.
These aren't the guys you need to give $1 million to.
Yeah, like they're all scumbags. Like it's true that they're fighting in a war that they don't fully understand at the moment. It's hard when it's World War II, when the stakes are very high.
Yes.
But in the context of when this takes place, it makes sense. And they're on the front lines and so on. And so, like, they're just sort of like, fuck it, we're going to go get gold and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have a good speech moment where the guy says, like, I'm risking my life every day. Why not it be for this? And you can't really argue with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of them doesn't want to do it for a while, and that's what turns them around. Is everybody's just like, look, I might die tomorrow. Why not it be trying to go into business, for myself doing it?
Yeah. It's honestly the plot structure of the movie it really is very similar to Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. There's Three Kings. There's some Three Kings in there for sure. Like their reasoning for getting the money and so on.
Yeah.
The disillusionment.
The ending is also kind of a nod to the ending of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
With the 3 of them walking down the street.
Oh, yeah. I would call it a parody, right?
Yeah, because I think they even added in like jangling spurs.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's basically, it starts with there's kind of a battle in the beginning. There's a battle in the middle where they get stuck in the countryside and a couple of their guys get killed.
The Minefield scene is fucking for real.
It's good. Like it's tense.
It's straight up good.
Yeah, and the siege, the city siege in the end is good.
Yeah.
Like it's legit tense. And it's identical to Private Ryan. There's that tense scene with the pillbox in the field where Giovanni Ribisi gets killed.
Right.
And then it ends in a French town that even has a sniper up in the church tower. Like it's very, very similar to Saving Private Ryan, except this one has a much happier ending.
There's 2 points in this film for me. Or two points. One is when it started actually being fun, and that was, of course, the introduction of Donald Sutherland. And they keep to that promise when they go up to do the resting and they get bombed by their own guys, and Don Rickles has to carry the heavy gun, and he's all mad about that.
Yeah,
and
he keeps just trying to offer people money to carry it for him.
And there's like a general novelty in seeing young Don Rickles fight in war in general.
Yeah.
But that's, of course, not the appeal of the film when it came out. And then there's the scene where Donald Sutherland rolls up on that fucking town with the tanks, blasting like haunting country music.
Yeah.
And just blowing everything up.
Right,
and it's really well done.
It is. It's like it has the goofball funny characters, but then it's like 6 minutes of actual war movie.
Yeah. But the war is just them kicking the ass of this town.
Yes,
so
they fucking murder like 80 people in this sequence.
The way they do it is great. They come out of a train tunnel, so like everybody hears the music, and then they just come rolling out of the train tunnel.
Yeah,
and just start. Nobody's prepared because again they're going way past the front lines, behind enemy lines, to a place where the enemy isn't really expecting it.
Yeah.
So they keep jumping people. And so, like, it's a great scene because it's fun. And it's impressive. The explosions, action.
All of the war stuff is very well done.
Right. So, but this is still in the realm of the first thing that grabbed me. Mm-hmm. The second thing that grabbed me was the minefield, where it was like, oh, also, this is like going to be tense. Because, like, that's the first actual tense moment. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure, right?
Not that moment so much, because you're not really concerned for any of the characters. Like, it's such an ass beating.
The minefield?
Oh, not the minefield. I'm still saying, yeah. I was a second behind you. Sorry.
Right.
Yes. The minefield is definitely the first tense sequence.
Yeah, and so they're walking, and one of them totally explodes.
One of them just dies. Yeah.
Yeah. The explosions are very like. They do some of the grenade explosions too. It really looks like they're blowing people up, which I'm pretty sure was still illegal in the 70s.
Yeah, I think you could do that. You could get away with that in 1970. Yeah.
Oh, you could. Okay, good. Mm-hmm. So they're probably just blowing up prisoners or something.
Probably, yeah. There's one shot in this sequence where I think Clint throws a grenade and it lands on these 3 Germans on the other side of a mound, and it straight up blows the dude in the middle like into pieces. And it's like, I didn't see the cut.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that.
All right. From what I can tell, they had like I never, having not looked this up, I assume they blew up a dummy.
They must have.
But the thing is, you can see the stuntman closest to the camera react.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it really is the 70s when stuntmen are like, you want to do, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Hey, Billy, get in there. You're going to be next to the explosion. Just act surprised. Billy's like, yeah, no problem. Like it really looks like they blew up a dummy like a foot next to a stuntman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that is 100% what they did, right? That's what they did.
That's gotta be. They couldn't, it's not an optical effect. There's nothing, it looks like exactly what we're describing. Maybe, I don't know, was there a way, I don't think there was a way to make that explosion look bigger in post either. Like, this is from the time of when we're doing optical effects in this era. We would know. Like, it would be obvious.
You would spot it, yeah. Like I said, I didn't see the cut. Like, I don't know how the fuck they did it.
Pretty sure they just blew up a dummy next to a stuntman.
They just sent off an explosion next to 2 stuntmen.
Yeah.
It's all right, the dummy will absorb most of it. You sure?
Most of it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Fucker's picking plastic out of his flesh for weeks after that.
It's just
little
burns.
bits.
It's just burned.
But the minefield, so one of them gets blown, and then they're all standing in the minefield, and they do a solid tension scene where, like, then they have to get on the ground, use their bayonets to, like, poke and look for mines. And then, like, nearby Germans have heard the explosion, so they start coming in a convoy. And so, like, most of them get out of the minefield across the road, and they hit an ambush position, but there's 2 motherfuckers still in the minefield, and then the Germans roll up, and it's a firefight where they're both shooting at either side of the Germans, but the 2 guys in the minefield also get murdered.
Yeah.
It's a straight-up war scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it really grabs you as a war scene. That was the most surprising thing about it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's just a well-done war. Again, all 3 of, like, the battle scenes in this movie are good. They're just good.
Yeah. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next battle scene, I believe, is the town, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they get picked up by Robert Evans in the tank. There's like a bunch of I'm trying to remember what happens between these 2 points is they tell Donald Sutherland the plan.
Yeah, I mean, he already knows the plan. They have to, like, Donald Sutherland brings in even more people after this point because they have to build a bridge. So he has to bring in, like, this Army Corps engineers or whatever.
And like 100 people.
Yeah. It's like an entire fleet of cars behind him. But they get stuck. We don't see it happen. We see, like, the General Carroll O'Connor overhears the radio conversation when they've crossed, like, half of them have crossed the river, but they lost 2 of Robert Evans's tanks.
Yeah.
And the bridge is blown up, so the engineer guys can't make it across. So they end up basically screwing all those guys out of the gold.
Yeah. Yeah, they tell them you'll get some of this gold, build the bridge. Again, they're real scumbags.
But yeah, the point is when they get to the town, they only have one of the Sherman tanks left.
Yep.
And if you know anything about tanks, Sherman tanks are just tiny anti-personnel tanks. They are not meant to fight other tanks.
Right.
So the fact that Clint hasn't told them that there's 3 Tiger tanks in this town becomes a serious problem.
Yeah. And so they set it up so beautifully, because from here on it's about the town. They're outside of the town. They're trying to get to the bank. They get some people in like a tower for recon, and they do this lovely recon scene, and you kind of get to watch the plan unfold. And what I appreciate probably the most about this movie, because it's a heist movie, but not really. Like, it's mostly a war movie. But I realized that those two ideas kind of intersect. Yeah. Because they're planning an ambush, basically. The ambush happens to be a heist, but it's why kind of, when you play Call of Duty, there's missions that are like, go get this thing. It's the same idea. It's a heist, but yeah. But what I appreciate about it is, unlike a movie like, I don't know, Ocean's 11, or more like Ocean's 12, they don't yada yada the process. They walk us through the whole thing. So it feels as realistic as it possibly can be. Like, they know that the core of this film is, how are they going to get there? So they have one tank. There's like a handful of them. How many would you say there are? Maybe 20? Not even, I would say.
I think it's like even less than that, yeah.
Yeah, and so we see the whole process
more than 10, but less than 20.
They have scouts. They figure out the tanks. They figure out how to get the tank in without people hearing it. So they have one of the scouts start ringing the church bell as they slowly roll in the tank. They realize that the Tigers are vulnerable from behind. So they essentially sneak the tank in, and they all just camp in one place and then strike at once. And it's really well done. Like, the sequence getting to that point is really well done, because they show every little detail of them getting into this town. Yeah. And then it's the ambush, and then it becomes just a fight. And that's when you get to see Don Rickles and Harry Dean Stanton fighting a tank and shooting Germans. Oh, yeah. And it's like, not something I ever expected to see. I never
thought I would see this, but now I'm very, very happy that I have.
Yeah. And then they all run away, and Don Rickles doesn't technically get shot by a tank, but he gets shot at by a tank, which blows up the building that he's under, and the building falls on him.
It partially falls on his head. Yeah, Don Rickles gets shelled by Nazis in this movie.
Fucking ducking from an explosion like he's fucking John McClane. Like, it's wild to see. Yeah. And he's not like... I want them to remake this movie with all the same actors at the current age.
Well, a lot of them are dead.
The ones they can get. Tom.
A lot of them are dead. This movie would have 3 people in it.
Yeah. All right. Well, is Don Rickles alive?
No, Don Rickles has passed.
All right. Well, we can
basically we can get Clint,
Grand Moff Tarkin him, right?
Clint and Donald Sutherland. That's basically who we can get.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Like, everyone else is dead.
That's a real bummer. Okay. Maybe a cartoon.
Sure, we can animate this motherfucker.
Yeah. Or just like a Wolfenstein video game where you're Don Rickles. Can we get that? Somebody,
oh man, yeah, make that mod, please.
Yeah, Don Rickles Wolfenstein mod. The mod is very simple. All you need is that place where the face is. Put Don Rickles.
You just put Don Rickles in there, and you put a sound clip of him in there.
Yeah, that's it. Somebody make that mod, or at least Photoshop it. We need that. America needs
Don Rickles and Wolfenstein.
Yeah. Don Rickles fighting Nazis.
Every time you fire fire the gun, he just plays that clip where it's like, I gotta schlub this machine gun across the French countryside.
No, that's when he picks up the machine gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So they have this standoff. The great gag where, because I knew it was going to happen, where the second German tank, they get caught in an alleyway, it can't turn around. and Donald Sutherland's tank fires paint at it first.
Yep.
Yeah.
They just shoot it with paint.
Yeah. Donald Sutherland's half of what makes him work in this is that he's on the top of a tank looking like Robert Evans, screaming commands into the tank with a voice that I don't know what he's doing, but I love it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what accent it is.
It's not, I don't think it's an accent. I think he's, I don't know. He just is doing a voice. He's doing a voice.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, it's like mostly howling. It's maybe just drunk. Maybe it's just supposed to be drunk. No idea what he's doing, but it's fucking great. And so they blow up 2 of the tanks. They kill all the Germans except for one final tank, and it's right in front of the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And you're wondering how are they going to do this because Sutherland's tank breaks. That's the other thing. So that's when we get the scene where it's what's the 3 people who go out?
It's Clint, Telly Savalas, and Donald Sutherland.
Right. And they all come out, face the tank, and because Don Rickles suggests maybe make a deal with them. And it turns out to just be one German in the tank who comes out and
well, no, he's got a whole crew in there, but
does he have a crew? Oh, you're right. You see the crew later. You just mostly see him for
right. It's also
following scenes.
He can't. It would be impossible for him to operate that tank by himself.
Yes. So he comes out and they basically are like, "Hey, do you even know what you're protecting?" And they tell him about all the gold in the bank, and they're like, "You can get an equal share. All you have to do is blow the door off that bank." Hard cut to the bank's door getting blown off.
To the door being shot off the bank. Yeah.
And like I guess the moral is it doesn't matter what side you're on. We all want money.
Yeah. That's the only thing that really matters.
Yeah. And so they all go in, they get the gold. And in any other movie, this is when there would be an actual, like a twist.
Mm-hmm.
But really what happens is the general comes, they've liberated the town, and they distract the general long enough to get away. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There's the weirdest fucking scene when they see the gold. The editing where it's like intercut with them looking at the gold and smiling and people waving flags.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
That was juxtaposing the French villagers celebrating the victory for what they,
Yeah. No, I just mean, do you think it was just a transition? Because at one point, someone's waving a Nazi flag.
Oh, it's probably because they just tore it down.
Oh, that makes sense. But it's this intercut thing of like, I saw Nazi flag, American flag, gold, people scrambling on it. And it really felt like they were like trying to make some sort of dark commentary in the editing on I don't know what.
I think
I suspect it's just a weird transition.
Yeah, I thought the juxtaposition there was showing the soldiers celebrating
and the town celebrating
their successful robbery, and then the town celebrating, hey, we've been liberated, even though that's not like the soldiers didn't give a shit about that. They just wanted they just wanted the gold.
You're right. I think that's what they're trying to get across.
Yeah.
It's just a weird ass ending, because then the German guy packs up his car and he's like, "Thanks, Clint," and he gives him the Nazi salute, and then turns it into like an American salute, like, "Oh, sorry," and leaves. And it was like, did he just like team up with some Nazis to steal some gold? I mean, I know there's a difference between German soldiers and
probably. I mean, kind of. I mean, I think that's what that means. It's just
a wild ending.
Kind of. I mean, like that is just kind of like, well, I mean, they're both just soldiers. Like he does the Nazi salute first because that's the salute he's been trained to do.
Right.
And then he just turns it into the other one because it's like, well, like it's not really the cause that I believe in. It's I'm a soldier and you're a soldier. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what they're trying to say is nobody here believes in anything.
Yeah. Yes.
In the middle of World War II, these two sides are like, I don't care about this war. And it's like, it's such a weird war to choose for that idea. Again, considering that it's like so much was at stake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a hell. I know why they're doing it, just because it was.
You know, this was 1970. The war ended like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Or, no, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, this is the most, I mean, you know, Korea had happened.
Right.
I think Vietnam's going on at this time. Vietnam ended in what, like 73? I don't know.
Something
anyway.
like that. I don't know wars.
I guess it's like the generation that was in World War II commenting on it, I suppose. I don't know.
I think you're right. I think it's just, it was the war that the viewers, like the people making it, had on their mind, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or like grew up with, or something like that, you know, something like that. But it's such a weird happy ending to just be like, and all right, and the Germans are in on it too. Here's your gold, and we all leave, and that's it. And like, again, it's just because it's like back in the day where movies were a little simpler, where like it could just be that, and they just leave with the gold, and the credits run.
Yep.
And it ends up being like,
I really like that. Like I
think I like it too. I just also find it very interesting. It was just so weird.
Kinda. I get what I get what it's doing. You know, it's like it's being anticlimactic on purpose, and it's having the solution be, well, why don't you just see if the German guy wants some money? Like we could just give him some money. Maybe he'll fuck off.
No, that concept is fantastic. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even that. It's just interesting to watch. Because, like, all right, the movie weird. I keep comparing it to is Three Kings,
right?
And Three Kings has the modern sensibilities that I think I'm just like programmed for, which is that in the end they're like, oh, it's not about the money. We have to fight for something we believe in.
Yeah,
and so
also,
on and so forth.
It's the Gulf War was a little more cynical.
Yeah,
like it's hard to do this kind of take on World War II because, as we've mentioned, the stakes were arguably the highest they've been in any war.
Right.
But in the Gulf War, people were real cynical about it. Like it's a war for oil. Like it's we're a U.S. going to war against somebody that they were buddy with in the 80s when he was killing the people that they wanted him to. Right. So there's a little more room for the disillusioned soldier storyline to take hold, where it's like we're not fighting for anything here. We're fighting for some money, and
right. And the arc being, no, we found something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
more important than the money to fight for. I don't remember the specifics of that movie, so
neither do I.
I don't know if there's something wildly problematic about it. I just remember that in the end, they give up. Spoilers for Three Kings. They give up on their goal to help like a village or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is what it's with a movie like this. It always it feels like they're setting that up or setting something up. Like there's even a moment where they get into the bank and there's all the people, and like they've been doing this thing where they're telling everyone, oh, there's gold, there's gold, there's gold. So I expected there to not be gold.
Yeah, there was a moment where it seemed like there wasn't.
Yeah, it really seemed like there wasn't going to be gold, and maybe there was going to be something else where the idea is they, I don't know, win something really strategic for the war. The general comes in. They're like called heroes, you know, Kelly's heroes, for doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was where I thought it was all going, and then they're like, no, it's gold. Let's get out of here. And then they do. And that is kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
For a comedy, especially a movie that's not trying to take itself seriously, it just surprised me.
Yeah,
that's all there is to this movie.
That's all it was. Yeah,
yeah. These honkies get paid and leave.
Yeah.
And again, when the guy said, "I'm going to get a ranch with a bunch of women," AKA, I'm pretty sure that's a cult, right? Like that guy's going to start a cult.
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, that guy's going to get into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
That man is going to get into a gunfight with the FBI.
I was going to say, that man is going to get shot by the ATF.
Yeah. Oh. But like, that was when it occurred to me of like, oh, I'm not sure these are very good people. Because like, they have, I joked about the Save the Nazi moment, and it's just him because the place is getting bombed, so he drags the officer out before it gets bombed. It's not really him like caring about the guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, let's get him out of here. He knows more. But they really don't have any like redeeming moments.
Not really.
They don't really help anybody.
No, they don't. They're completely selfish.
Yeah, helping people is a symptom like of what they do because they liberate the town. But they're just kind of a bunch of shitty guys from beginning to end, and it's just funny to watch a movie that doesn't really like that's okay in a movie, but like modern movies would kind of point that out, you know?
Yeah.
They would make it a joke, like they didn't learn anything.
I think this is early enough that we're still kind of maybe we don't need to. I don't know. I might be talking about out of my ass. Because we didn't really.
I think Oh, sorry. Go on.
I'm not even really sure the thought I'm trying to get out here, but it seems like it might be just the fact that it's an older movie where doing a movie full of scumbags like this was still uncommon enough that just the fact that it ends the way that it does, I think, was enough of a gag for people. I
think I know what I might be circling, or we might be circling.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Are there no character arcs in this movie? Does anybody change besides learning to like Don Rickles a little more for that one guy?
For Telly Savalas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this isn't a criticism of the movie because I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, no, not really. There aren't really any arcs.
No, and like even Ocean's 11 has technically an arc in the sense that if you think of Danny Ocean as the antagonist to Julia Roberts' protagonist, like she's the one who has an arc, and the arc is getting back together with her shitty boyfriend because her current boyfriend is shittier. Not a good arc, but they're like, I think heist films don't tend to have the arc is I want to achieve this heist, and then the arc is I achieved the heist, I guess. But it's weird that these characters don't learn anything.
I mean, they have an established set of wants that they get. I don't know. Man.
Yeah,
they just wanted the money. I don't know. What do you want from me?
No, I like this film, but isn't that weird? Like, I'm not trying to fix this film, but like, it's weird that like Clint Eastwood doesn't have like an arc with Donald Sutherland. Like they do in the end, like grow to like each other a little more, and I guess that's enough, right? It's a group of people who kind of clash, but not really. And then they go really to get money,
much, yeah.
And then they get money, and then they're like, "Take it easy." Yep. And they sort of smile at each other.
I'm glad we went on this journey together.
Yeah. And like a couple of them die. It's just weird to see a movie without like any like big character arcs that's taking place during war.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
It's weird.
It is just kind of like and just kind of like a borderline wacky heist movie that just happens to take place during World War II.
I think why it's weird is because they set up a bunch of emotional story points. There's a part where they talk to Clint Eastwood like it's all kind of on him, which is like, you're going to get these men killed. Mm-hmm. And then he gets several of them killed. He gets
a couple of them killed, yeah.
And he has a moment where he like stares at them and then he walks away and they never talk about it again.
No, they sure don't.
And then the German soldier getting him in on it, which is a good gag, but is also like morally or like that's a very strong moment. And again, it doesn't exist for any character reasons. That doesn't change anyone. Like there's a lot of really big moments that don't change the characters.
Right. And we're given a little bit, and that scene makes sense for Clint because we're given a little bit of information about Clint that he used to be a lieutenant.
Right.
And they
set that up.
Yeah, and he got bad orders, basically. He got orders to bomb a hill, I think, and it turned out that he just killed a bunch of his own men, and they pinned it on him, so he got demoted to a private. So, like, that scene makes sense because you're like, oh, he's gotten more men killed. But they really don't dwell on it at all.
They don't dwell on it, and then it never comes up again.
Nope.
You'd think a character like that would then have a moment where he like doubts himself, where he's like, "No, I can't do this. It's too dangerous."
Yeah.
And the soldiers have to be like, "No, we're not just fighting for you. You're not just telling something." But it never happens. It's a weird ending.
Kinda.
I wonder if it was cut down or something.
It's less of a weird ending and more just like weird setup. Some weird setup for that ending. Because the ending didn't strike me as weird. Some individual scenes are, now that we're discussing it.
Yeah. Again, this movie I enjoyed, but there was just like something off about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it is. And it's not obvious to the point that it took us 40 minutes to realize it.
No, but I'm glad we landed on it finally.
Yeah, me too. Because I knew there was something up.
Yes.
Yeah. It would be amazing if this whole time it was us trying to figure out that guy was Harry Dean Stanton. He really is haunting the movie. Like for a while, he's just in the background.
He's just lurking. He's lurking.
Yeah, and it's like, is that Harry Dean Stanton? Is that Mr. Paris, Texas down like over there? And then, and then finally he like speaks up, and it was like, motherfucker, it's Harry Dean hanging out with Don Rickles. Oh.
He's credited as Dean Stanton.
Dean Stanton.
Dean Stanton.
That's actually, when I looked at the IMDb, the credits, I saw that, and I was like, that sounds familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. You need that Harry.
You got to have the Harry, yeah. I don't know what you're doing without the Harry.
No, he figured it out too. His agent or whoever was like, you gotta have that Harry. And then bam, he was making the big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
That was the secret all along.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Any other thoughts about this?
No.
Good movie. 2.5 hours long. Too long. If you're going to watch this movie, I honestly would say skip to about 20 minutes in, and all you need to know is that Clint Eastwood is looking for gold in a town.
Gold in a French town. Yep.
In a French town. That's all you need to know. You can skip. The moment you see Donald Sutherland, go ahead and hit play.
Yeah. As soon as he fucking lurches on screen.
Yeah. The movie begins.
Yes.
That's really my only criticism, other than that it's weird that there's no arcs, but I don't really consider that a criticism. It's just interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Glad I'm watched it.
Yeah, same. No, this is a movie that I've been aware of for a very, very long time and just never actually watched.
Yeah, same here. So thanks to Dr. DNA.
Indeed.
For telling us to watch Kelly's Heroes. You really scared me in those first 20 minutes, and then I got in there.
Yeah.
Got into it. Well, if people are interested, this was through our Patreon.
It was.
That's patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We have exclusive podcasts on there, like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. We have a tier where you can make us watch movies, like Kelly's Heroes. And there's also a tier where you watch movies with us. That's at $10 a month. We watch movies every Friday night with our patrons.
We sure do.
Yeah. Check it all out. It's great.
Mm-hmm. We also have a store at tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed, where you can check out t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of stuff. So do that thing.
Yeah.
Do that.
If, I don't know, subscribe to our upcoming Platinum tier, where we will make Wolfenstein 3D with Don Rickles.
Don Rickles. It needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Yeah. We'll probably get sued by the Rickles estate and the Wolfenstein people, but God damn it, it has to happen.
It will be worth it.